surging up from the depths of the sea on a tidal wave of terror to wreak vengeance on mankind. A gigantic beast, cavalcade of electrifying horror.
Hello world, it's KAIJU with you once again, back here in the kitchen. Got a special one for you guys. Today, we're gonna do a little baking, a little something special. Now if you watched my previous baking video, you saw me and OK made a little Godzilla cake. Well, I thought we would try something special today and make some Godzilla cookies. It's a very simple, basically vegan sugar cookie recipe, but I have a little Godzilla cutout I'm going to be using, and to try and attempt to make the shape. And hopefully in the future I will attempt to make my own custom cookie cutter. For this one, I'm just kind of using a little cutout that I made, and then I just kind of wrapped it, you know, so I could cut it into the cookies and make a shape, and then maybe I'll decorate them with something cool, and we'll just see how they turn out. And it's a very simple, fun little recipe that you guys can probably easily make, and hopefully it turns out to taste pretty good. And if not, well, you guys can laugh at me as I attempt to make cookies. So let's get into the video then. There's a couple ingredients we are gonna need for this, but they're very simple. Most likely, you know, you can find these at your local supermarket. Nothing too complicated. So we're gonna need about half a cup or 112 grams of vegan butter, or as I'm using, pretty much 100% vegetable margarine, 3/4 cups of sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla. Then you can also use 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract, 2 cups of flour all-purpose, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then 2 tablespoons of soy milk, or any other non-dairy milks that includes oatmeal or almond as well if you prefer. I mean, you don't have to obviously use, you know, so much sugar as well. I wouldn't recommend using so much sugar. It depends. And I am actually using brown sugar for this. I prefer to use brown sugar. And generally when I make sugar cookies, I like making them because the recipe is so simple, but I don't always like to use so much butter and so much sugar. So I may personally cut down and may not use so much butter or sugar for this. But again, it's up to you if you're doing this because if you're on a diet, then you might have to cut down on some of those ingredients, is my point. But anyway, let's get into this. Let's get to baking. So you first want to get your oven set to about 180 degrees Celsius, and then we're going to start with about 2 cups of flour. And yeah, I just like to get about both cups filled up. But you know, you can also change the flour for some that's probably gluten-free, depending on your situation. Then you want to throw in a little bit of baking soda, then the salts, you know, make sure not to use too much. And then we want to get the sugar and the vegetable margarine or butter mixed together. And you're gonna need about 3/4 cup of that, you know, but you can use less depending on your situation. You could use less sugar too if you want. But just make sure that you mix them together before you put them in the final mix with the dry ingredients. And yeah, so you're gonna need to like mix them up together a bit, you know. I would definitely recommend a whisk for this, or a mixer or something. But once it starts to mix together, it gets a little easier, and you finally have something that is a bit creamier. It's supposed to be. And I also used brown sugar, so then I throw in a little bit of vanilla extract, and then we mix it in together a little bit with the flour and our dry ingredients. And the recipe calls for you to mix it by hand. You could also use a whisk. It's pretty messy if you do it by hand. Then we got to throw in a couple teaspoons of milk. But again, I would say you might want to put in some more milk, because honestly, it's still way too dry. And then once again, we got to mix, and I had to do this by hand because I really needed like a ball of dough to work with here that would yeah, this was messy. If you've never worked with dough before, it's kind of messy. Anyway, so I finally got a ball going, and I didn't really have a big baking mat, so I just got this little table, so not a lot of room to work with, you know. And then I had to use my roller, quote unquote, to really spread this out. And make sure you use plenty of flour for this, because it's very sticky otherwise. And you really need it to get as flat as possible. And I got my little cutout here that I was trying to use to cut around. But it was a little, like I said, it was a little difficult to really make it work. So I ended up just having to figure out the basic shape and then modify it afterwards. And then instead of trying to match what I cut out, I just kind of went around it. But anyway, you want to spray down the mat with something, oil, or you can butter it or something, just so that the cookies don't get stuck. And then you want to start lining them up, you know, give them some good distance from each other so they don't get stuck together. And then we got our nice, wonderful cookies all lined up in the oven, ready to go. And now they're toasting pretty well. Give them about 10 minutes if you want them nice and soft, a few more minutes if you really want them to get crunchy like I did. I like them to get a little bit, you know, a little dark. And then we get some decoration going. I didn't have any blue colors, so I just used green instead. I know for King of the Monsters there's a lot of blue thrown in, and I would have liked to use that, but... So I decided to use green for him, and then red for his spines. I used white and yellow for his eyes. And then I kind of used green and yellow other colors for Mothra, for her wings, and her body, because she's got really colorful wings. But yeah, they turned out pretty nice, pretty thick. So that's because I definitely used that baking soda. But yeah, they turned out pretty nice and pretty thick. And honestly, I tried my best to do some designing. Well, after all that effort, we got these cute, adorable little guys. So it's time for the real big question, the taste test. How does it actually taste? That's crunch. You hear that? That's some ASMR right there.
Nice.
Well, I like my cookies to be a little crunchier, so I left them in the oven longer so they would get kind of dark and really crunchy. Maybe I left them in a little too long, but I like that. I don't mind that. However, you can leave them in a little less. 10 minutes is probably really all you need at the temperature. So you shouldn't, if you want them nice and soft, then just don't leave them more than that. They'll get hard pretty fast. And yeah, you know, next time I'm thinking I'll probably make, if I decide to do cookies again, I'll make my own custom cookie cutters. Because the process to make these, I just kind of gave up trying to follow my little thing I made, and I just started cutting them out, and then I just made Mothra because it'd be easier to cut out. So, but definitely next time I hope to actually make my own custom cookie cutters and actually, you know, make them out of the dough, and hopefully it goes a little better. But, you know, it was fun. It was a little experiment. I just love the colors, you know. It reminds me of, it looked like Christmas, you know. I feel like it's Christmas now because of all the, you know, the cookies and the colors of the cookies. So anyway, I'll leave the recipe below and the ingredients for you all. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys want me to bake next. You know, I got a few ideas already on what I want to do, but anything kaiju related to, you know, I don't know, Godzilla pancakes or Rodan muffins or Hedrum, I don't know, pastries, whatever. Just hit me up in the comments below and let me know. And this is, yeah, and then like, share, subscribe, all that jazz as usual. And I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.
Till it's cool, just cool, into the mouth. Nice.